My friends, in the event that you are new to this wonderful card game and you have not yet signed up for a UGN Play account, you can now sign up with my exclusive referral code Alliteration and get yourself 50 bonus loyalty points for free, as well as additional loyalty points for every event that you play in within my referral code period. Why do you need these, you might ask? Well, loyalty points can be used to redeem free promotional cards in the mail, as well as other exclusive items coming in the future. The bonus points from using my code are enough to redeem almost any promo card right off the bat, and having your UGN account is going to allow you to accrue and track more and more as you go through your hero or villain's journey. If free cards and progression all sound super appealing to you, the links for all of this are going to be in the description below. Now, let's get on to the video. Good evening, my dear MHA CCG viewers. Welcome to another Alliteration Gaming video. My name's Levi, and it's Wednesday, so it's time to do some wealthy aspirations. In the event that you're one of our newest subscribers, this is our weekly series where we go over the entirety of TCG players set by set, rarity by rarity, and check out the whole secondary market for the MHA CCG, and just take a look at any interesting fluctuations, buyouts, overstocks, price hikes, price dips, and just anything interesting going on price-wise in the market as a whole. A couple weeks ago, we saw a massive amount of starter deck XR buyouts across set 3 and some really choice single pickups here and there across set 1 and set 2 in the XR department. So I'm interested to see how those have been settling. Last week we saw them kind of calm down and come back into the market a little, so have they continued to rectify themselves, or are they getting even further bought out this week? Let's take a look. I'm going to take a sip of our patented Alliteration Gaming cold brew. Now let's get into it. Starting off with our set 3 secret rares. These are cheap as ever, not going to change anytime soon. I think the secret rares are all very stuck in their ways, I think, across all 3 sets, for better or for worse. Then going into the actual set 3 itself, the URs are pretty much the same as ever. These 3 are our very decent little performers, but man, they're getting less and less decent by the week, and then everything else is really just kind of in the dollar bin or so. Kind of unfortunate to see, but such is the nature of set 3 URs. Going into our XRs, our XSRs, if you will. Heroic holding 40 strong, aggressive all the way down here, which is really interesting. I mean, I think they're both pretty mediocre in their own ways, but it's interesting to see aggressive be so much cheaper than the other. Piercing Needle XR been falling from its $30 graces for quite a long time now. Ignited Arrows chilling out at 20. This is actually not a bad price for this XR, all things considered. This has been one of the most commonly bought out and then restocked at crazy hype prices over and over again, caught up in that cycle XRs, and it's a starter deck XR, so I think it's actually a pretty solid price for him. $20 for Ashes is also not a bad price. $10 for XR Pro, and that's gotta just be a one of, right? Because that's a crazy daisy price, man. Okay, we got one for essentially 11 and then one for 13, and then they're back to their $20 ways. These are good pickups here if you've been wanting your last XR Pros. Those are both good pickups right there. One Prominence Burn at 18. This might get crazy after it leaves. Keep an eye on it. This is a good price for Quick to Act as well. This is one of the most sought after starter deck XRs, just as a very staple 0 difficulty foundation from a starter deck in XR. Those are just all of the prime circumstances to be very expensive. Same goes for things like basic training and easily excited. Staple 0 diff XRs are kind of some of the most like, hey, just buy this. It's probably a good price for it unless you're like over 20 bucks. Blood Moon Rendings are looking very cheap. Some Namelisms are also looking quite cheap. This is a really good price for XR Total Erasure as well. We got some very cheap characters here. A couple of Freezer Burns at 12 bucks. That's a great price for that, man. That's a great price for that. That one's just asking to be bought out. Stun Grenades are chilling out as well. Only 3 listings though. Get these at 12 while you can. If you're still on the fence, man, this is a really good price for these guys. Then we got our very mediocre XR URs coming in across here. A couple of our starter deck XRs kind of coming in with the very slight restock here. This one's still very cheap, which is crazy to me because this is one of the best and most versatile ones. Guys, this should, if this is 8, if this is 10, this should not be 5. People are sleeping on the cloth precision. One with Nature also coming in with a bit of a restock there on the XR. It was like 20 bucks after it got bought out for a little bit. Now it's kind of selling more, but I think 9 is like still an okay price for it, even though it's not one of the most impressive XRs around. But we got some like decent pickups here and there, some cheapish characters. Tattoo Thrashing is not a bad at 7. Ice Slide not bad at 7. Laceration's so cheap, man. Poor Stain. A couple more starter deck ones like Hellflame Stomp and Soul Piercing Glare. Just some nice cheap pickups here and there across the board. 2 listings on Easily Excited. This is not going to stay like this, guys. These are really good pickups. If you can get Easily Excited or Basic Training under 10 bucks, I consider that a good pickup. Press Conference at 4 is an amazing pickup. Exhausted at 4, amazing pickup. These are really good deals here on these starter deck XRs that we know are less common than the others and have already proven themselves to be a very volatile market. There's our basic training. Speaking of, very out of stock. $3 for uppercut is a nice pickup as well. There's a nice couple like staples here and there. Can't Escape Me is a pretty nice tech piece as well. We're kind of in like the XR tech piece bin now, but still, I mean, tech pieces do see play even though it's not in massive quantities. So like things like Proud Scion, coping with #1, only one listing. Yikes! That one might be going into scary territory sometime soon. Carbo Loading's a nice tech piece as well. Forceful Blow's a nice tech piece. A couple more starter deck XRs. Overall, though, it looks like from here on out, everything's gonna be pretty cheap. Snack Time, super cheap. This is way cheaper than Snack Time has any business being. Closing in, USJ, Prehensile Tail, Dexterous, a lot of really nice tech. Bench press, man. A lot of really nice tech pieces here in this $1 or $2 bin that I think if you've been wanting to fill out your collection, it's worth a little bit of a skim through to see what you're missing from these really cheap XR sets. Now going into our promos, our buy a box promos are still absolutely crazy. These two are maniacal prices. Latent Skills kind of coming in a little bit. Irrefutables are decent. Constantly Improvings are super cheap. Seizing the Advantages are kind of calming down a little, which I guess like they have been getting redemption orders out, so that makes sense. And then it makes sense as to why Chivalrous has stayed as high as it is, because you can't redeem for this bad boy. One listing and still at $13 is crazy, man. This is going to be probably one of those probable ones for quite a while now, to be honest. I could definitely foresee a reprint for this guy in the future, hopefully. And then everything else is pretty cheap. Our Symbol piece, our Evil Earth is good. Some nice tech pieces here and there, but not anything that's going to fetch a crazy price point. Then going into set 2, our secret rares once again are cheap as ever, very stuck in their ways. Joint Effort like has potential to maybe one day be broken if we get like a Midoriya or a Bakugo with like a truly busted once per turn, but aside from that, those aren't going anywhere anytime soon, man. Our URs for set 2 are also pretty much as they are. Excited finding its way back up to $20 price point, and then our Double Jabs and our Howitzers are like $5-ish, and then everything else is super duper cheap. Pennies and dimes from there on out for the set 2 URs. Everything is as it always is. Into our XRs, XR Excited raising a little bit as well. We got the nice characters as we always do here and there. Double Jab and Howitzer, super good pickups at these prices. Some really cheap characters across the board here. If you really just want to collect XR characters, man, set 2 is really the way to go. Some nice XRs here and there, but overall everything is everything is just really cheap, man, even in the XR department for set 2. As always, we have our couple staples. Strugglings, Ice Glidings, and Survivals are really good at $5. XR Stomps at $1. They don't really look any different, but hey, it's just $1. We got some nice tech pieces here. Confuse and Training with Gunhead. Stuff like New Training and Spooky are really good cards, but they don't look any different as XR. $1 Gracefuls is really crazy. Challengings, Leagues for $2. These are also solid pickups. Floating, if you don't like the Nats ones, for under $1 is really good. But man, it's like 2 pages in, and then we're just already in the $1 or $2 tech piece bid, which just feels really bad. But that just sadly kind of is the reality of set 2, man. There's like, it's not that these cards are even like super unplayable by any means, but most of the XRs just don't look very different, and or are tech pieces. Since if you have both of those things, which most of these cards do, you're just not going to fetch a very high price point. Going into our promos for set 2, Exciteds are looking nice as ever. Giros are still super high. It looks like we've got like a little bit of life injected into some of these Gen Con promos. 7 listings on these. Still only 3 listings on the Starlets, only 4 listings on the Texas Smashes. The Manlies are looking super duper cheap though, and with a little bit of a burst in listings at 6. Only 4 listings on the IERs. The Cheerleaders are still super expensive. Overall, still a very give and take market on these set 2 season 2, I should say, RLEs. Ruins are looking pretty expensive as well. Tokuyami's still the best deck. Let's go, baby. Yeah, he's one of the best. He's one of the best. Student of the Art looking pretty expensive as well. I think, guys, actually this might be like the pickup, honestly, right now at $15, because this guy is now the actual best deck in the game. So this might be a really big pickup from here on out. And then after that, we got like our cheap Gen Con ones. We got some of our provisionals looking still really cheap. That market beautifully settling after all of our store provisional championships. And then we just got our El Cheapo plus Ultra promos. We got some of the Nats promos. New Training and Floating still holding like at least relatively decent prices. These are not bad considering what the other two looked like. Exhibit A right here on the choosing the hero names. And then everything else is just super duper cheap plus Ultra promo stuff. We got a couple cheap characters as well from here. Apathetics at 5 is super cheap. Jolts again at 8 if you don't want to pay for the crazy RLE price. It's not a bad pickup either. Gotchas at 7 is pretty interesting. That's more expensive than I would imagine Gotcha to be. interestingly enough. Let's Fight Bad Guys at 4 I think is a good pickup. Release at $3 is still stupid cheap. I don't understand how these just like still exist. It's crazy to me. I guess like people are not as high on the life decks anymore, but now they're high on the chaos decks. So like Release just won't leave. Release just won't leave extreme hyper relevance in the format. I don't know how it's so cheap. Self Assured really cheap. Sticky Balls really cheap. Shock Absorption really cheap. We're definitely in the tech piece bin now, but I mean it's set 1. Set 1's full of busted cards, man. Set 1's always gonna have really good tech pieces to buy. So if you can buy any of them for $1 or $2, I think it's usually a pretty good pickup. Creepies are really cheap. Tape Tosses are very cheap. Although that one does have a very cheap RLE, so that one's not too crazy. And then everything else is pretty much pennies after that. And then going into set 1's promos, our RLEs are still holding super strong. They're just dwindling and dwindling. 2 listings on the Jolt. 2 listings on the Jolt is crazy, man. A lot of these older season 1 provisionals still looking pretty expensive as well, considering those aren't in the market anymore, right? We're not going to get any new foils of these any ever. So I mean, that is true. Crow and Frogs are of course very cheap as they are banned. Plus Ultras, man, we talked about it a lot last week, but man, Plus Ultras for $4, this is crazy. Victory Plus Ultras for $4, I don't know where this price shift came out of nowhere, but I'm here for it, man. It should be super cheap for everyone to get some freaking Plus Ultras. And then our big Plus Ultra promos are still pretty cheap as well. We got our super cheap Nats promo there and Charged Up. And then after that, it's really just going to kind of be a lot of the Plus Ultra promos, a lot of the really cheap quirk pack stuff, nothing too crazy. And that's going to put a wrap on this week's Wealthy Aspirations. Honestly, a very quiet week in the market. We found like a lot of really good sleeper pickups, but honestly, nothing super insane happening. A lot of the really nutty starter deck XR buyouts are really settling back in. We've got a few staples here and there that are pretty tough to get still, things like basic training, but overall, there's really not going to be any massive shifts going on this week. I think everything is pretty tame, but there's still a lot of value to be found in a lot of these nice settling weeks. These are kind of the times where it's nice to go in and say, well, I don't like, this isn't so cheap that I just have to pick it up no matter what, but if I was looking for this is a really nice pickup. So if you were looking for things, I hope that you found some of them in this week's Wealthy Aspirations and were able to pick them up. And if you did, and or if you liked the video, feel free to leave me some feedback down there below via the like or dislike button and the comment section as well. And if you really liked the video and want to see a lot more like it, hitting the subscribe button is going to let me put all of my content into your newsfeed. We're talking deck profiles, gameplay videos, meta discussions, tier lists, and of course, Wealthy Aspirations every single Wednesday. So if all that sounds good, I'd really love your support. But above all else, thanks so much just for getting to the end of this video. Hope you got a great rest of your day, and I hope that I'll see y'all in the next one.